Good evening, race fans. Urban Pirate here from Black Flag Racing TV, and I'm here this evening with the GT Champions World Cup, and this is season 4, round number 6 in the BMW M4 GT3 at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. This is an awesome racetrack, and this is not a bad car either. It is looking good for today, very good, but we need a quick recap from the previous race, which was at Autopolis in one of my favourite cars, the GR Supra. there you have it. We've gone from Autopolis in the Supra to Barcelona in that absolutely awesome BMW. There it is. So last time out, what happened last time out? Loads, absolutely loads. Devlin led the pack out and was leading by some way, and then boom, internet crash, and ended up not placing at all. Igorski capitalised and came home for the win. Scarlett moved up through the order, got second on the podium, and Stangman from Canada rounded out the top three. So that has done some changes. Let's just make some words up. That has made some changes to the table, and this is where we currently stand. Scarlett, his lead has been cut to just 5 points by Igorski. At the top of that leaderboard, he still leads 75 points. Igorski on 70. Tool Shed in 53rd with 57 points. Average Viper from Hyprix along with Stangman moving up the order a little bit, 54, 51 points. That rounds out the top 5. So where are we today? We are at Barcelona. This is an awesome, awesome track. That's your track layout. Not really much to talk about this track. When you'll see it when we go around, we'll do a drive around. I didn't have time to do a video this week, so we'll do a drive around one of the drivers in a minute. Turn one, big breaking point there for turn one. You've got to be careful in the way because you're immediately on to turn two as you turn in. So turn one into turn two, then turn three, not really a break, and you just lift a little bit, then get on the power before you hit turns 4. 5's a big braking zone. 6 is not a turn at all because you're flat out. 8's not really a turn either because you're flat out there. Then your next big braking zone really is down in turn 10 when you that's the biggest probably braking zone of the lap, to be fair. Then you go around 11, 12, 13 and then into the chicane 14, 15 and then power out of 16 ready for your lap to complete. So that's where we are at right now. So basically, bear with me, sorry, I've made a cock up. No, I haven't. There it is. Right, so lobby. It looks like we've got a nice full lobby today, which is always useful. Well, 12 in the lobby, 13 in the lobby. Well, 14 if you count me, but I'm not racing, of course I'm not. Good to see my old friend Benjo finally made it this week. So, qualification. That's where everyone qualifies. Devlin, although he was first out last week, because of the disconnection, he technically came last, so will be at the front of the grid today with Correntes and Heathen rounding out that top 3. At the back, we've got Tubes, we've got Igorski, Scarlett, Stangman. Igorski, Scarlett, and Stangman, of course, being the 1, 2, 3 last week. We've got some quick lads in that midfield there. Average Viper, we know one at Daytona. He's back in 10th at the moment, but certainly looking forward to seeing where or how these quick guys manage it. So, as usual, it's 1 times wear on tyres and racing soft racing mediums required. 2 times fuel consumption. The pit window opens from 50 minutes to 40 minutes remaining. We've had the 10-minute warning, so it won't be long before the race starts. That's the only time when the pit will open. Well, no, look, it's open if you damage your car, which you don't want to do. But the pit window will open at that point, and then you change your fuel, you change your tyres. And from that point onwards, we'll know what people are running in terms of... I'll know all the time, but I'll let you guys know once the pit window has been done where everyone is in terms of their tyres and fuel and what have you. We basically don't want them to have an unfair advantage beforehand. For me, I think it's going to be about fuel management here a little bit because you've got some long straights, but I think tyres are going to be quite difficult to manage as well. Overtaking zones is going to be, there's a lot at Barcelona, quite easy to overtake. So quite looking forward to this race. I suppose the next thing to do is jump in the room, and I'm sure there's some people on the track practicing. We've got the race will be starting in what, about 6 or 7 minutes, I would have thought. So let's have a little shifty looky CC. What we might do actually is look at the race calendar before we do anything else. That's a good idea, let's do that. So that's where we're at the moment. You'll notice it says they're all top of the list. That was last week. I forgot to renew the calendar. So all top of the list last week. We're GT3 this week at Barcelona M3, and next week off to Trial Mountain in the McGann Trophy. But it's all about that phenomenal BMW M3 at this brilliant racetrack in Barcelona. So without further ado, let's get cracking. And if I can press the right buttons here, we'll jump in. I should probably have the room. There we go. Let's I forgot to switch something off. That's better, right? That's better, right? He says. I mean, right. So there's a tool shed, and for some reason it's giving me I want nicknames, driver names. So there's nicknames. Oh, it's got those nicknames. Or do we want online IDs? Let's do it as online IDs, shall we? So we've got tool shed that we were just watching. There we go. There is Scarlet from the Ice Racing Group. Known Scarlet for a while. Good race from him last week. Second place. Just couldn't keep up with the pace of Igorski. Igorski's making that charge now up that leaderboard and slowly closing that gap on Scarlet. Needs to finish ahead of him today if he wants to open that gap up at the top of the leaderboard. Stagman with a good, solid third place last week, and well deserved. Good work from him. 5-minute warning comes up from Igorski, so we've got 5 minutes to waffle and fill. Yeah, good race from Stagman in Canada last week. Well, no, he wasn't in Canada. He's in Canada, but we weren't. We were in Autopolis. Okay, Jake, from the United States. No, I want someone who's doing a hot lap so I can do a little track guide. Who's that? There's one there. So let's go on board with Remy so I can talk you through this Barcelona track. I didn't have a chance to do a proper run through for you. So you come down this straight, and that actually time from Corentis on 1:47.5 is not a bad lap time as lap times go. You stand on this left hand side, you're looking for that 100-metre board. Just after there's where you slam on your anchors. You're turning right, but you can't go full on the power here because you have to get turned in first, get your car straightened up, and you're on the power. Little lift, not full, just get that turned in, look for that post. As soon as you see that post straight ahead of you, that's when you can get the power down, and you can really drift out wide there. Not a lot wider than he's going. Bro, this is just your next big braking zone. Again, get it turned in, and you're kind of eagerly waiting for that moment you can put your foot down on the accelerator and into here down to second gear. Sometimes first actually would help with the rotation. And then you're on the power again through this turn, which is not a turn, it's flat out. Little dab of brake, nothing too significant. Again, you want to clip that apex. What you don't want to do is spin there, because then who else is going that way? He's next back on the track. So let's try again, shall we? Should we find someone else that's trying to find someone that's close to where we were? Right, so let's try this without a spin this time. So here you've got a little lift. You don't need to brake there really, unless you're going too wide. Then on the power, downhill pass through the penalty line, and you're looking for the 150 metre 100 board, which is about halfway between that, is where you slam on those anchors, and you want to get a lot closer to the apex than that, so you can get on the power sooner. You literally drop into second gear here with a little dab of brake, and then you're back on the power as soon as you see that little curb on your right hand side. Then it's on that power again, down to second gear, get it turned in for this tricky chicane. Now what you want to do, you want to maximise your exit speed, and the best way to do that is to go slower into the first of the 2 turns there, and then you can really power through out of the next one, all the way around to finish your lap. And that's essentially a lap around Barcelona. I will have a lap guide for next week, I promise you. I'm not quite as busy this week as I was last. So, who else is in the room? There's Cruentes. He's put in the fastest lap so far, 147.5. Average Viper. We've got Scarlet. We've seen Scarlet. Dry Bones Malone. I love that name. It's so cool. Wox 159 from the other side of the pond. Exactly the opposite side of the pond. There is OK Jake. Last week's went out Igorski in the RWB livery, of course. My old friend Benjo, good to see him racing. I haven't seen him in a race. The last time I raced with this guy was at Bathurst sometime last year, I think. It must be. It's some time ago. But yeah, that was the last time we raced. Igorski, there he is. Tubes. Remy's in the room. Credits all we've seen. Toolshed. Unleash the Beast. Stangman. Podium from last week. And Heathen. 13 runners today. 13. So we're just waiting now for the race start, which is imminent. Imminent. And it's a formation lap here, guys. So it's no, there's no qualifying lap, so to speak. They do a formation, so they all go out whenever they go out. They get themselves in formation, and then just go around at 75k, and then before they hit the big turn, the big last turn, they slow it to 55k in formation, with first place being on the inside line for turn 1. And basically then it's down to whoever's first to start the race, instigate the action, get on that power, and everyone else chase them down. So Devlin will be on pole, although Devlin's not in the room, so I'm assuming, because Benjo's not on the list, I'm assuming that Benjo is in for Devlin, maybe. That's certainly possible. They are racing for the same team. So is Benjo covering for Devlin? We'll find out. If Benjo's at the front, then he'll be the one covering for Devlin. Cruentes will be second place on the grid. There he is, with Heathen. Good race from Heathen a couple of weeks ago at Daytona. Couldn't quite usurp Average Viper to win, but was very, very quick. But I have seen Heathen. Where has he gone? He's definitely in the room somewhere. There he is. There's Heathen. He will be in third. Chip Reese. Doesn't look like Chip is with us, so he won't. Oh, there he is. There he is. There's Chip Reese. I found him. He will be fourth. Dry Bones Malone in fifth. He's up there. Right, here we go. The formation lap is to begin, and obviously the formation lap gives me time to do what I always have to do, because PD are very good at coding race starts and cameras. Clearly, I'm going to have to jump out and jump back in very quickly. But we are ready to go here with round 6 of the GT Champions World Cup, and it's brought to you by all of our sponsors. We've got Detailing Group. Well, let's jump out quickly while we're doing a Detailing Group. We've got Metropolis.com, RWB Racing. We've got Hyprix, Digit Gaming, and Pride of the Dragon. And all of them present us this brilliant show. So I don't see Benjo coming through, so I'm assuming everyone's just moving up one. That would be my guess. There's all the information we need right there. So we've got Cruentes taking the pole position. Heathen, Chip Reese, OK Jake, Wox 159, Dry Bones Malone, Average Viper. Actually, Dry Bones Malone should be further down, shouldn't he? Yeah, he is. got Tube at the back there, Benjo right at the back. Scarlet, that's right, Scarlet should be just after, just before Igorski. I think we're getting there-ish. Remy doesn't look to be in the right place either. Where should Remy be? Remy should be in front of Stangman. So he needs to get a bit of a move on. He should be ahead of Stangman here. And Tube should be way at the back of the pack, behind Igorski. I'm assuming Igorski is going to move. There we go. It looks like, yes, there we go. So we seem to be lining up almost there. Remy and Stangman just need to switch places. Where's Igorski going? Ah, everyone's leaving. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Let's go back to this then. If we're red flagging, don't know what happened, why we red flagged. Could it be because people were in the wrong place? I don't know. Torsh's left the room, so what happened with him? Oh, you're supposed to be leaving the room. It says race in progress still. We'll soon find out what we're supposed to be doing, whether we're supposed to be leaving the room, staying in the room. I don't know. Not party to this information. Don't know what happened. Right, so people rejoining the room. Don't know what happened there. We're full start. Red flag, we start again. 90 minutes we're going to be racing here. And it's really, really tough, these kind of endurance races, to stay focused for that amount of time. You know, you can run as many simulations as you want. And often these guys do. They will run full race simulations, partial race simulations. A lot of the guys I race with do exactly the same. But when it comes to the actual racing, anything can happen. And let's face it, you could have every, you know, I think it was Mike Tyson that said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And that's exactly what can happen. You could have your plan, you could have everything exactly as you want it, and then all of a sudden, you put a wheel on the grass and you spin, someone clips the back of your car, anything can happen. So we are going to restart the room. Don't know what the issue was there. So talk amongst yourselves. We love it when this happens. My predictions for today, well, look, Igorski's very quick. We know that. Demonstrated it in Daytona, demonstrated it again last week. We know Scarlet can put in a good shift. We know that Average Viper, given opportunities out front, can put some quick lap times. But also Heathen's very quick in the right setup. So I don't know how much experience these guys have got with this track in particular, but I can only go by what I've seen so far of these guys racing. And for me, you know, I think these guys are the ones to watch. I think Igorski, Scarlet, Average Viper, Heathen, Cruentis, all these drivers are ones you need to watch out for, that can really, really turn the racing on its head. We're still waiting for a new lobby. I don't know why we're still waiting for a new lobby. I don't know if there's a restart going on or what is happening. But yeah, what else can I tell you about this race? What can I tell you about Barcelona? I can tell you that that the soft tyre runners, those on really quick laps when you're not saving fuel, you could probably thumb around here in a 145, 146, maybe 147 at race pace is the sort of pace we'll be looking at. I would expect when they're managing fuel, managing tyres, the lap times to be in the 48 stroke 49s, 148, 149, it's not 48, 49 seconds. That would be insane, wouldn't it? Right, so let's re-enter the room. Hopefully this time, fingers crossed, it all works perfectly. That's all I can say really. So here we go. So we are back in the room. I don't like a blank screen for that long, it scares me. There have been a few server issues today. I did a string for a lot earlier. Funnily enough, at Daytona in the Super Formula cars. And an absolute nightmare with the bloody lobby, to be fair. It's something that really we need to see PD addressing properly. None of these 2-bit half-assed, almost pretend is the best word I can think of to describe it. Pretend fixes. So I'm just adjusting my microphone, so please bear with me for a second. There we go, that's better. I'm back. Okay. Let's assume everything's all good now, shall we? Let's make that assumption. That's everyone's. We've got Viper, Gorski, Remy, Tube, Toolshed, Jake, Heathen, Benjo, Scarlet, Stangman, Wox, Drybones Malone, Cruences from the UK, Hyprix. Everyone's here. Everyone's ready. Average Viper, the only one out on track at the moment. Just getting a couple of laps in, just keeping that practice in, making sure the lines are there. I'm sure, but it's like, if you're not ready by now, you're never going to be. So we are pretty much ready for this to start. Don't quite know what the hold up is at this stage. Obviously, me not being in chat, it makes it difficult for me to work out what's going on. I have to kind of guess. But everyone to me looks like they're in the room. I think we'll start this again, and hopefully this time we'll have some racing for you. There we go. Right. We go again. We are 90 minutes of racing here at Barcelona. Now we are looking at somewhere around 46 laps. There or there, about 47. Let's see, maybe 50 laps, because we're looking at. Yeah, I think it really depends on how quick the pace is. So we exit out, turn spectate back in. This is the good thing about this kind of start is I have time. I don't miss anything when getting the camera sorted. So let's go over the lineup again, where everyone should be. We won't see Devlin out in front because Devlin's not here. So what we will see is Cruences from the UK. He will take the pole position here. Heathen will be behind him with Hyprix, then Drybones Malone in 5th place. To wait for him to work his way through. Wox should be where? I don't see Wox on my on the list. Oh yes, I do. He should be in 9th place, so he's too high up the field at the minute. Drybones Malone needs to move up one position. Toolshed should be further down the order, I think. Oh, there it is, 6th. So Toolshed should be in 6th. I think we're getting there slowly. So 5th. So Cruences, Heathen, Hyprix, Drybones Malone, yes. Toolshed, yes. Captain Jack. Don't see him. OK Jake would be next. I don't think Captain Jack's here today, so OK Jake will be next. Followed by Wox, then Viper, who's just got off the track. So Viper should be in 8th. If we've got no Captain Jack, we've got no Devlin, that would put Viper up to 8th place. There we go. Scarlet. He should be behind Stangman. Stangman should be in 9th place with Scarlet behind. Sorry, no, with Remy first. So average Viper, Remy, Stangman, Scarlet, Igorski. That's the order they should be in. and then Tube and Benjo. Almost perfect. Almost perfect. But doesn't matter now because we are ready to start. There we are with the leader, Crentes, as they come round this last final sector, ready to start the race. Everything looks good. They're dropping the speed. Crentes is about to take control of this race. Is he able to get away well? That's the thing with this rolling start. Get away well. Keep the car on the track. Build up a head of steam. So we round the final turn. And it's up to him now to when he wants to start the race. He's holding at 60 miles an hour at the moment. Any time now this is going to start. And off they go. Crentes from Heathen, from Dry Bones Malone, has really jumped up that order. Really jumped up the order. Chip Reese in fourth. And they have caught everybody else napping. The front four have absolutely melted up the road. And everyone from fifth backwards just caught napping. And we see a move there from Chip Reese on Heathen, already trying to work his way up through the order into the top three. So we've got Crentes 1.2 almost seconds ahead of Dry Bones Malone. Great start from him. Chip Reese in the United States is next, 6 tenths, 8 tenths. So that gap's already opening up. Another half a second back to Heathen, and those front four have pulled a gap out from the rest of the field. Toolshed is 1.7 back with Average Viper. We know Average Viper can be quick. Tucked in just 8 tenths behind him. And right under the rear wing of him is Wax 159. Then we've got another little group, group back to OK Jake is 2 seconds back. And Scarlet 5.8 seconds off the back of OK Jake, with a Gorski 1.1 seconds behind him. So some of them really caught napping with that start, and it will have been just because of the size of the track itself and how long. There's a yellow flag up ahead, and who is that for? Who is off the racetrack? Can't see who is off. But Crentes is still in the lead, but he's not pulling away. Dry Bones Malone in second place, tacked on the back of him already, looking to make a move as they start the second racing lap. So this is lap 3, but the second racing lap. Crentes 2 tenths, right up the rear wing of him is Dry Bones Malone, looking to somehow get past, but Crentes does a very, very good job defensively. Holds off that line, doesn't give Dry Bones Malone any way through. These two are charging off up the road with Heathen 3 seconds now, 3 seconds back in third place, but this battle is still on. Dry Bones Malone looking for a way through. Fastest lap of the race was Dry Bones Malone with a 1 minute 50.0, and he makes the move, and he is through into first place. Great move from Dry Bones Malone there. Little tap in the rear from Crentes by the looks of things, and he goes back through. Should he give that place back? Hit him up the arse, he probably should. But Dry Bones Malone won't let that affect him. He will put that charge back on and go back up the road after Crentes. So the first and second are really, really charging on now. Heathen in third place. Can't tack onto the back of that battle. At the moment, he's trying to keep Toolshed at bay. Toolshed all over the back of that BMW. Heathen's BMW. We know Heathen's very fast. Saw him at Daytona putting in some crazy quick laps. So he is currently 3 seconds back from the front too. And that gap just opening up. I've just noticed it seems Dry Bones Malone has dropped off a little bit off Crentes. So Toolshed crawling all over the back of Heathen as they come into the chicane. And Heathen doing a very, very good job defensively, staying off them curves, which can really unsettle you through there. What sort of exit does Toolshed get at this point? A very good one by the looks of things. He's got that slipstream. Is he close enough to make a move before turn 1? How is Heathen going to defend this? So we see really tucked in, pulls out from that slipstream. They are side by side with Toolshed. Has the inside line going into turn 1. He holds Heathen off and moves up a place into that top 3. So all change. Quintus in the lead. Dry Bones Malone in second place. They are 4.2 seconds up the road now from Toolshed, who's just taken third from Heathen in fourth. Then we've got 1.6 seconds back to Wox, who's starting to close in on those four that pulled away. I mean, those four pulled away so far away early on. But they're just starting to be reined in now, apart from, obviously, Quintus and Dry Bones Malone, who just takes the lead from Quintus. They are side by side, battling this out. Neither wants to give anything here. They're putting everything out there, and we're only on lap 4, and they are already racing like it's the last lap. Very wide there, Quintus, but does manage to keep the car in check and in behind Dry Bones Malone. Is there another move on as they go into the final sector? Looks to me that Dry Bones Malone just backed off for a little while and then straight back in, straight back at it. And he's starting now, it looks, to just pull a bit of a gap as they go into the chicane at the end here. So, Dry Bones Malone through the chicane. He does the left, he does the right, he gets on the power. The gap is now 1.5 seconds. Dry Bones Malone giving himself a little bit of breathing room. Quintus just can't keep up with him at this stage. Really, really good. Very quick lap there. 147.9. If that is the pace for this race, they're going to run out of fuel very shortly. That will need to start dropping. Just in terms of fuel and tyre management. So no change for Toolshed in third place, with Heathen just behind him in fourth. We've got Wox 159 in fifth, 2.5 seconds ahead of Chip Reese from the United States. He's got a bit of a gap either side. He's not really closing on Wox at the moment, but he's got a gap to Scarlett, who's made his way up through the field now, up to 7th place. So we said that these guys were the guys to watch out for, Scarlett being one of them. He came second last week in that Super Round Autopolis. He's now doing a very, very good job with the BMW here at Barcelona. Last week's winner, there he is, Igorski. He is currently running in 8th place, 1.8 seconds back from Scarlett. 1.4 back. 3rd place last week, Stagman. And there he is, 1.4 seconds behind Igorski. So that is last week's 1, 2, 3. Currently running 7, 8, 9 in this race. But they're already working their way forward from the back of the grid. There is Tube from the Ice Racing Group in 10th place. Just 3 tenths off the back of the Canadian. Trying to find some slipstream to help get him round as we go into this final section. We've seen quite a lot of overtakes here already, and he gets such a good exit out of that hairpin and makes the move round the outside and leaves Stagman for absolute dust. That overtake was far too easy. Shouldn't be able to make an overtake there, but Tube made that happen, and made that happen good. So Stagman drops down to 10th place, with Tube making it up a place. Okay, Jake is already 3.4 seconds behind that battle, behind Stagman. But that's 11 seconds clear of Benjo, up in 12th place. Got a bit of damage to the front of his car, but it should be infinitely drivable. Average Viper. Now, we know Average Viper's quick, but he's clearly had some sort of accident, because he is way down, 13th place, 5.4 seconds back from Benjo, with a half-second penalty to serve. But there is the man. He's definitely had to pit at some stage for damage, because Remy is way at the back of the pack, and he is 40 seconds down. So he's clearly picked up some damage, had to repair that car, and comes back out 40 seconds behind Average Viper. A lot of work to do for Remy. Out in front, Dry Bones Malone. Took a while to get around Quintus. Quintus doing a really good job of holding him off, but he's now 1.4 seconds clear, and they're no longer pulling away, these two, from the rest of the pack. Now Toolshed has got himself free. Toolshed is tacking onto the back of that battle for 1, 2, 3. 1.4 back to Quintus, 1.1 back to Toolshed, and now this top 3 is pulling away, leaving Heathen as the best of the rest in 4th place, but he is under significant pressure now from Wox 159. He's tucked in under that wing, looking for a way through as they come out of the chicane. Does he get good enough traction to make a move? Go on board with Wox, and it looks like Heathen got a really, really good exit there, much better than Wox, and he's able to just pull away up the road towards turn 1. There is no overtake for Wox to be had here. This is not the overtake you are looking for. He has to settle for sitting in 5th for now, and try and close the gap again. 3.7 seconds back. There's Chip Reese running in a bit of no man's land. No pressure ahead, no pressure behind at the moment. But the people behind him are Scarlett and Igorski. 1.4 seconds between them. They've certainly got the pace to be closing, and I expect to see them moving up that order as they start closing that gap. Igorski 2.1 seconds now ahead of Tube, who got himself around Stagman, and it's opened up a 3.8 second gap. So Isa, Tube, doing a really, really sterling job on Stagman. Got the overtake done, and in the course of a lap has given himself a nice big cushion. No change out front, it's still Dry Bones Malone from Corinthus from Toolshed. There is Stagman, he's 6.8 seconds ahead of OK Jake from the United States. He has got himself a massive piece of racetrack just to himself. Nothing ahead for 7 seconds, nothing behind for nearly 10 seconds. But that person behind is Average Viper, already starting to close down the gap with the fastest lap as well, 1:47.1. That's a very, very quick lap for this stage of the race. Benjo holding it there in 13th, 6 seconds back from Average Viper at the moment. Remy has closed that 50-second gap down to 40. Sorry, I was at a 40-second gap. So that 40-second gap's opened up to a 44, 45-second gap. So not having a great day at the office is Remy at the moment. But I've got to say, it's one of my favourite liveries out of all of these is his one. So fastest man on the track, Average Viper. There he is from the United Kingdom. He's got a nice big chunk of racetrack to himself, and he's using it to good effect at the moment. Out in front, no change. Well, there is going to be maybe a little change. Corinthus with a half-second penalty, and when he serves that, he's going to find Toolshed crawling all over him. So we'll go on board with Toolshed because that penalty is going to be served very, very soon. He needs to close up a little bit closer to get the benefit of that penalty. So what will be Corinthus' loss will be Toolshed's gain if he can close up. He is a little closer as we come here. Little lifting, get on that power. Let it drift wide. You've got the grip at this stage. There's that penalty served. Will they get to the turn with Corinthus ahead? No. Toolshed gets down into second. Can he get it stopped in time? Very, very wide. Does hold it though up into second place. Corinthus, after that penalty, finds himself down in third. And that has allowed Dry Bones Malone to open up a 4.1 second lead. As we just see the back end of that car sliding. But he's 4.1 seconds clear now of the rest of the pack. Or well, 3.7 as we come out of the turn there. It's an ever-evolving thing, isn't it? Ever-evolving time. But doing steady, mid 148s, which is not bad pace at this stage of the race. Probably a little quicker than I thought it might be, but no, it's not bad pace at all. I think though, and I'm going to call this now, that I think with an empty fuel tank and some soft tyres, I think you could do a 145.5. 140, yeah. I think a 145.5 with low fuel and grippy tyres and a bit of slipstream is possible here, but we'll see. But there's the leader, Dry Bones Malone. Spent a couple of laps trying to get around Corinthus, made that move. Then Toolshed got the opportunity. He's made that move above Corinthus, and Corinthus drops to third place. The gap, 1.9 seconds. So it looks like Corinthus is just dropping off the pace a little bit. He had a bad lap there, 151 compared to his usual 148s. But Toolshed's chucking in some very quick times. 47.3. Only a couple of tenths off the fastest lap from Average Viper so far. Chip Reese looking very, very comfortable at the moment in 4th place. Nowhere near tacking onto that top 3 battle, 10 seconds off. I say he's looking comfortable. He shouldn't be that comfortable because behind him we've got the 1-2 from last week's race. We've got Scarlet bearing down in 1.4 seconds now, that gap is, and Igorski a further 1.4 seconds back from him. They are 3 seconds up the road from Tube, but at the moment the championship leader and the championship 2nd place chasing him. At the moment, Scarlett's in the ideal position because obviously he's the championship leader. He wants to score more points than Igorski, so Igorski is not going to let him pull too far away. But at the moment, these two, when you've got the guys that are leading the championship and consistently putting in good quality racing, good quality lap times, getting wins, getting podiums, and you're trying to hold these guys off, it can be so daunting. Especially when you see them getting bigger and bigger and bigger in your mirror. But at the moment, holding firm is Chip Reese. No one getting through at this stage. Tube made his way through. He's now up to 7th place, 3.3 seconds. So, excuse me, 3.3 seconds from Igorski. But he's 3 seconds ahead of Watts at the moment, who has got himself ahead of Heathen. 1.5 seconds ahead of Heathen, as we just see Watts putting in a personal best first sector. There's Heathen. Best lap so far for him, a 1:49.2. That's some way off the front running pace. But he's ahead of Stangman. Stangman not being able to follow the 2 guys he shared the podium with last week through the pack. And finds himself at the moment half a second behind Ethan, trying to find a way through. Average Viper still 9.7 seconds behind him, but he does have the fastest lap, a 1:47.1 from Average Viper. That's a very, very quick lap, especially if you are running in where he is at the moment, 11th place. And if you look at his lap times, they are very solid. So while we're lap 10 here, we're nearly 20 minutes in. We're on lap 10. He's putting in consistently quick laps. I think he's one to watch for. I think when we get to the pit window, we might see Average Viper a lot further up the racetrack. But at the moment, not where he'd like to be. Okay, Jake in 12 seconds back, not getting involved in that. He's got his own little bit of racetrack to himself, with Benjo 8 seconds behind him, and Remy at the back of the pack, and it's getting worse and worse for him. That gap's now 54 seconds for Remy. So Remy from the United States not having a great day at the office in that BMW. Is it the car? Is it the track? Because he's now a minute back, and he had to get out of the way because he's already being lapped by the front runners. And there is the guy at the front, Dry Bones Malone. There's no dry bones on this one. He is absolutely melting it at the moment. 44.3 seconds is the lead that he's built up from Toolshed. He is really, really on it today. I've got to say, he's putting in very consistent lap times, but certainly not Average Viper quick. So, is this going to be a battle for later on in the race? And I think this is the beauty of this format, because the racetracks are so different and the cars are so different each time. I mean, this is the 3rd race that I've had the pleasure of commentating for GT Champions on, and it's been different people all getting in the mix. You do see patterns of the fast guys, and we're already seeing Scarlet and Igorski up into 4th and 5th place. They're both past Chip Reese now, and we know they're quick. We know Correntis can put in a quick lap or two. We know Average Viper can be quick. But it's good to see other people getting those opportunities in the top 3. So Toolshed 4 seconds back. Correntis has dropped right off that challenge into 3rd place. But it could be that they're operating different strategies. And that actually suits Correntis to a T. We will find out when we hit the pit window, which will be in about 20 odd minutes. So we're halfway to the pit window. Scarlett, the championship leader, there he is, currently running 10 seconds back from the top three in fourth place. Very well poised at the moment for a push in the tail end of this race towards that top three. His closest championship contender, Igorski, he's just at the moment 1.2 seconds behind him, looking for some weakness in Scarlett. If he wants to close the gap at the top of the leaderboard, he needs to finish ahead. We're on round 6 now. There's only 4 rounds remaining after this. And the less rounds remaining there are, and the bigger the gap gets, the harder it becomes to win the championship. He does not want to see, after his hard work at Daytona and last week winning at Autopolis, closing that gap up, he doesn't want to see Scarlett finishing in front of him and just opening that gap up again. So watch this space, because he's gonna make a move at some stage. But at the moment, they're both just settling nicely in to this race. Chip Reese couldn't handle the pace from those two behind, 2.7 seconds back, but comfortably in midfield at the moment, putting in some solid mid 49 lap pace. And Average Viper has just put in a 1:46.6. Now, I'm telling you now, he is going to be there or thereabouts at the end of this race, because he is crazy quick around here. I was expecting a 45.5 with low fuel and optimum tyres and a better slipstream and all of that. And I think if anyone's going to get it, it's probably going to be him. But there is Tube running in 7th, Heathen 6.8 seconds back, 2.9 ahead of Wox, who is about to experience the sting of the Average Viper from the United Kingdom. He's closed right up on the back of him, and he is looking quick. That little dot that was in the mirror a lap ago, really big white and blue BMW in the mirror of Wox now. What's he going to do? How's he going to defend against that kind of pace? An Average Viper makes that move, couldn't get it slowed, had to drop in behind, didn't want to risk making a move there, but he is so close to the back, and actually you can see the difference in pace between the two. Average Viper absolutely on it like a car bonnet. Every single apex getting clipped at the minute. 46.6 is a crazy fast lap. But here he goes. They come out of the chicane onto the straight. Is Average Viper close enough to make a move here? He certainly looks to be closing up. What can Wox do? Can Wox defend against this? Is he going to plant the car in the middle of the road? Average Viper looking up the inside. He pulls out. They get into turn 1. He breezes past like Wox wasn't even there. That was less of an overtake, but it's almost as though Wox pulled up his handbrake so Viper can just breeze past him. So strong that slipstream and used to great effect. But that moves Average Viper up another place. He's now off after Heathen, and the last time we saw him chase Heathen, that was at Daytona, and he caught him. So Wox drops to 10th place, 4.2 seconds back to podium finisher last week, Stangman. Not got the same kind of pace at the moment in this race, but it is a long way to go. We are 26 minutes in, lap 14 here at Barcelona. Okay, Jake, 30 seconds back in 12th place with Benjo, only just under 2 seconds behind him. Remy having an absolutely awful day. He's had another crash, and into the pits he goes for a repair. Now he's already over 3.5 minutes behind the leaders. He's on lap 12. Dry Bones Malone is just starting lap 15. So not a good day at the office for Remy. I'm sure this is a day he would rather forget. But take heart in this that if I was racing here, Remy, I would be where you are, and you would be in front of me. If you take some comfort from that's what you need to take. So Dry Bones Malone in the lead, still got a gap of 4 seconds back to Toolshed, managing his pace very well there, out in the lead of this race. Toolshed has opened up the gap now on Cruentis. The gap is 6 seconds. Scarlet with 8 seconds to catch those front two. Bear in mind that was 10 seconds when we last looked to catch the front three, sorry, I should say. And Cruentis with a penalty. It was a penalty that cost him second. There's another penalty now, which is going to allow Scarlet to close the gap. There he is. There is Scarlet. And Igorski, not content with seeing Scarlet in front of him, is closing up that gap. Is there an opportunity for an overtake here? Scarlet goes a bit wide, goes a bit squirrely. Igorski follows him onto the gravel and becomes much worse off. So that gap now open right out, and that's dropped him into the clutches of Chip Reese. And here he comes, is the move on. He's very deep into the turn of Chip Reese up into 5th place. That's a devastating blow for Igorski's title hopes. Scarlet off 6 seconds up the road now, and Chip Reese coming through. That is not good news for Igorski, winner last time out. It's almost as though he was following Scarlet's line, and Scarlet got a little bit squirrely, went on the gravel a touch, managed to get it back under control, but Igorski didn't gain control and slid all the way across the racetrack onto the grass, and had to back right out for fear of smashing into a wall. But luckily, no damage for him, and he can continue on as he is. So, leader, Dry Bones Malone, 5 seconds. Is that lead now? Is he starting to crank it up? As we get almost 10 minutes from the pit window. So we will be on lap 17 very, very soon. Currently on lap 16 of this race. 5.1 seconds is the gap. Toolshed opening up even further on Cruentis. Cruentis, remember, had a penalty to serve on lap 15. So the pace is settled at the moment. Very, very settled. We've got Dry Bones Malone, who put in, funny enough, his fastest lap of the race, but he is cranking up a little bit. In the sort of mid 48s, as a kind of steady pace. Toolshed very similar, mid to high 48s. Cruentis pace is a little bit slower. He's in the late 49s, early 50s at the moment. But this is a long race. We know there's going to be different strategies. We know there's going to be different plans. Scarlet, 47.9 is his fastest lap, and he just put that in. And that gap now is 5 seconds, and he must be absolutely rubbing his hands together with glee when he saw the big BMW of Igorski in his mirrors disappear as he went down the road, and Igorski gets overtaken by Chip Reese. So now Scarlet can focus on the job at hand, which is getting himself into that top 3 and get some juicy points towards the championship. Chip Reese benefited from Igorski's little mishap with the gravel. Has built himself a 1.2 second gap over him at the moment. Now we know Chip Reese didn't hold them off before. Is he going to be able to do it this time? So here we go. There it is, Igorski. 1.8 seconds back from him is Tube. He's just starting to sort of move his way up. But talking of moving their way up, 7 seconds back is the absolute pocket rocket. It's the only way I can describe it. He has been chucking in some crazy fast lap times. Last couple of laps he seems to have backed off the pace a little bit, but that is understandable when you need to manage your fuel and manage your tyres for this kind of race. Goes a little bit wide there, but gets away with it just. So, Average Viper currently holds the fastest lap. Excuse me, with a 46.6, 146.6, which is a phenomenally quick lap for a race where you're managing your fuel and tyres, but just settled down into a sort of more healthy, low 49 rhythm. Managing his pace at this moment in time. Heathen was behind Average Viper at Daytona, chased him down and then got caught by him, and that's happened again. Heathen 5.8 seconds back from Average Viper, putting in some very, very solid mid to low, I was going to say mid to low 50s, but that was a 49.3, which is quite flat for him. So it looks like he might be ramping up the pace a little bit. Stagman has not recreated the heroics of last week's race, but at the moment comfortably in 10th and putting in some pretty solid lap times. Walks 159, 11 seconds back from the battle. Well, it's not really a battle at the moment, is it? But from the top 10. 12 seconds he's got to make up to get into that top 10. He's got damage at the front, he's got damage at the rear. He's choosing not to repair it. Makes sense not to repair it at this stage with the pit window only 7 minutes away. It really depends how much it's affected his performance. If it's going to drop him off too much, it might be worth going into the pits. He has Benjo, who's just, I think, lapped Remy in last place. So the less said about Remy's race today, the better. That's what it looks like to me, because there is OK Jake. And OK Jake, I think, is coming up behind Remy now to lap him. So there we go. So everybody on the racetrack has got around Remy. Remy not having a good day out there today. And he's got yet more damage on his car. He's been in a couple of times to repair already. This pit window can't come soon enough just to give him an opportunity just to take a 30-second breather from the relentlessness of being lapped. But out in front, there he is, Dry Bones Malone. That gap is a lot smaller. It was 5 seconds. Toolshed has decided to ramp it up. But also, it looks like Dry Bones Malone had a very, very poor lap 18. Did he have a little moment off the track? Because he's almost over 4 seconds slower than his average lap time's been, which is why that gap has come down. But I suppose now he's back on it. The gap seems to be opening up again. So lucky he had the gap, because he would be in second place now. Toolshed, very, very consistent. 2.5 seconds is all he is back from Dry Bones Malone. Pit window open in 5 minutes time. That's 5 minutes time for the pit window. And we will start in a minute having a look. I'm going to move this banner in a minute. We'll start having a look at the tyres and fuel and sort of thinking about how that's going to transpire into the second half of the race. So Dry Bones Malone, 1.8 seconds from Toolshed. 9 seconds now clear of Correntes in third place. 3.6 seconds back to Scarlett, the current championship leader, who's opened up a big gap on Igorski. Igorski is back past Chip Reese, but it looks like Chip Reese has moved way down the order, so he has had an absolute nightmare somewhere, because Igorski's through and Tubi's through. Chip Reese dropping down the order. 11 seconds is the gap between Igorski and Scarlett. 5 seconds is the gap between 5 points is the gap between them in the battle for the leadership of Group 4 of the GT Champions World Championship Season 4. This is race number 6. After this, there's only 4 more races. Loads of work for Igorski to do if he wants to snatch victory from the hands of the Belgian Scarlett. How about out in front? Nothing changed? Nothing has changed. Right, the pit window will be opening in about 4 minutes. So I think what we're going to do at this stage is we're going to start analysing the fuel and tyres for everybody. So here we go. this is what we've got at the moment. So, Dry Bones Malone, obviously, predictably, was on the soft tyres. That's why he was able to pull away so much early doors. But he's got loads on those tyres. He can run right to the end of the pit window before he has to go on those medium tyres. Toolshed not so much in a great position. He's at the moment he's got to hold on to that front left tyre, so he's going to have to come into the pits probably a bit earlier in that pit window to get that done. Fuel wise, not a problem though. They haven't really burnt through the fuel as much as I expected them to here. I don't know what Toolshed's doing on that side of the racetrack, but as they come through to lap Remy for the second time. Unfortunate day for Remy, but that gap is starting to close now. Toolshed just starting to ramp up the pressure. Correntes in third. He's on the medium tyres, but look how close Scarlett is already. He can run right to the end of that window as well before he comes in. Scarlett, that pace he's showing is on medium tyres. He's been absolutely on top of it today, and that gap is now down to 1.3 seconds. He also will be able to run to pretty much the end of the pit window, giving himself a much stronger chance on the soft tyres. So we're going to have, we know Scarlett and Correntes and Igorski, we know they're all quick. So all three of those are going to be on the soft compound tyres in the second half of this race. Dry Bones Malone and Toolshed will be on the medium compound. Although for Dry Bones Malone, he can hang out there for a little while longer on the softs. Igorski, also running the mediums, will be quick in the second half of this race. But he's got 12 seconds to make up on Scarlett first before he can even start thinking about making a challenge for that top three. Tubes, also on those medium tyres, with a yellow flag ahead. Who's that yellow flag for? Would that be Remy? Remy off the track, not having a good day at all. Feel for you, man. I really feel for you. Tubes on those medium tyres. 1.3 behind Igorski. Can he make a move before the pit window? Would be nice, because the pit window will open in 1 minute's time. Chip Reese, 2.8 seconds back. He's running those racing soft tyres, but a little bit of life still left in him. As we see Average Viper past Heathen. He was well past him. He was lapping someone there, wasn't he? He is right under the wing of Chip Reese. Really looking to make a move now. Chip Reese has been dropping through that order. Chip Reese is on those soft tyres as well. So, but so is Viper. And Viper's taken a lot out of those tyres. Those quick laps have really taken a lot out of that front left. He's got to hang on for one more lap before he can go in. Will he get this overtake done before the end of this lap? It certainly looks like Chip Reese is going to have to find a way to keep Average Viper behind him. The only saving grace is going to be the state of that front left tyre. It should hang on for this lap without any problem. He's looking for a way through, desperately looking. As we come to this big running up the inside, totally outbrakes him, but almost overshoots the corner. Does get that overtake done though. And there is Average Viper ahead of Chip Reese. And Chip Reese up there, a little love tap there, so he had to back out. Threw that up the inside, really looking to try and gain that place back. But very sporting of him to just back off, let Average Viper keep that position. Chip Reese goes wide, and that allows Average Viper to pull away. Heathen 11 seconds back. He's on those medium tyres, so he will stay out a little bit longer than the two cars in front of him. Stagman going very slowly there. What happened there? He was going very slowly, so he's clearly had a problem somewhere. 10 seconds back, but 23 seconds ahead of Wox 159. And there's your first pit stop. As soon as the window opens, Benjo is in with those medium tyres. Personally, I think you should have stayed out a bit longer, buddy. You're going to give yourself a lot to do on the soft tyres. Those running the medium should be hanging it out to the end of the pit window to ensure that they've got good tyres for the end of this race. There's certainly enough fuel on board to do that. Remy, I'm sure he can't wait to get in the pits and have a breather. He's got a 3-second penalty to serve. He's not having a good day at all. Okay, Jake on the medium tyres also. So, now the pit window's open. Let's have a little looky-see. Is that going to be a 3-second penalty? It looked like he went across the white line. No, he did actually not go across the white line. It's just a half-second penalty for whatever reason that is. But Remy going slow again. What a bad day for him. So here we go, Dry Bones Malone. He is your current leader. 1.5 seconds is the gap. I hate not being able to just select it with one button as he comes through on Remy. To be fair, Remy is aware of what's going on, keeping out of the way. But Toolshed starting to ramp up the pressure on Dry Bones Malone and keeping him honest, not giving him any opportunity to pull away. Both managing their pace very well. Now, the only question is how long is Toolshed prepared to stay out on those soft tyres? Dry Bones Malone can run to the end of the pit window. Toolshed not so much. Toolshed is staying out for another lap. But this is where you start to hit risky territory. Well, saying that, he's still out for another lap. Dry Bones Malone has gone in. And for me, he's gone in sooner than he needed to. He could have held that car out there for another few laps. But he's trying to go in on bang on, I suppose, the halfway point. But he could have done 2 more laps before coming in and then put it on the tyres. But maybe he's hoping that the undercut will keep him ahead. Or he's cutting off the chance of an undercut. Average Viper in, we thought he would be. Tube's also in a little bit early for him as well. Those medium tyre runners should be hanging out there until the very, very end of the pit window. So that allows Toolshed off into the lead. Currently 12 seconds is that gap. Scarlet has made his way past Correntes. He's up into second place at the minute, which will be net third after the pit stops. Really, really good performance from him today. Correntes is just behind him, but doesn't seem to be able to make any inroads into catching him back up. Where's Igorski? Igorski has cut that gap down. It was 11 seconds. It's now 9.2 seconds. So he is closing a little bit, but it is still going to be 11 seconds on Scarlet. Can Igorski get himself into that top 3? Chip Reese up to 5th place, even up to 6th. Dry Bones Malone, this is where he comes out. He's in 7th place. Everyone ahead of him still needs to pit. When are these guys going to do so? There is 5.5 minutes left of the pit window. Toolshed into the pits from 1st place. That will see. I think Scarlet will carry on going here. Absolutely he does. So Scarlet is now the leader of the race, albeit very briefly. Correntes follows through. So Correntes, one more lap for him of fuel. Scarlet, he can go 2 more laps if he really, really wants to. Correntes is going to have to come at the end of this lap. Fueled a little bit ropey at this stage. Chip Reese, will he come through? Well, he's certainly staying out. At great risk on fuel. He's quite low there. It's a risky move, but he's hanging it out there as he wants. As he does come through. Heathen also comes through. Or do they? It's a drag race to turn 1. He's through. Heathen's through. What about Dry Bones Malone? Where's Dry Bones Malone? Has he made it through? It looks like Toolshed has managed to get the jump on Dry Bones Malone in the pit stop. 9 seconds clear. Great move from Toolshed. Absolutely melted it. So, Dry Bones Malone went into the pits too early. And the overcut for Toolshed has got him into the lead of this race by 8.8 seconds. Devastating news as Dry Bones Malone sees Toolshed all the way out there ahead of him. So much work for him to do. Stagman going to be pitting the end of this lap. Average Viper has pit. This is where he's come back out in 9th. By the time all the pit stops are finished, we're going to see Average Viper a lot further up this racetrack as Wox goes into the pits. So anyone at the back not pit yet. Remy still hanging it out there before he pits. Isa Benjo has pit. He pitted a little bit too early for my liking. But, you know, each to their own. Walks in the pits now. Okay, Jake still needs to pit. He's going to hang it out for a couple of laps. So there we go. Leader in. Scarlet into the pits. Followed by Crentes, who was net third or net fourth. So these were third and fourth on the racetrack, essentially. Who goes through? So Igorski. He stays out for another lap on those medium tyres. Now it looks like the overcut is very, very strong here, because it's given Toolshed a massive jump on Dry Bones Malone. In terms of fuel, Dry Bones Malone put a lot more fuel on board than Toolshed, which helped as well. So what happens now? Heathen stays out on the racetrack. He's in second at the moment. Igorski in the lead, 14 seconds clear. Still needs to pit. Heathen 1.3 ahead of Toolshed. Still needs to pit. Toolshed will be the leader of this race at the end of this lap, I would have thought, when Igorski comes in. So Igorski could stay out for another further lap on beyond that if he wanted to. Dry Bones Malone will be in second place. 9 seconds. 9 seconds behind Toolshed. That's just how strong that particular undercut or overcut was. And we're looking at Scarlet. Scarlet in 5th place is where he comes out. So that will be third on the racetrack once everyone goes through. 12.5 seconds off the back of Dry Bones Malone. With Cruentis just behind him, 8.7 seconds. They are both on soft tyres, so expect to see them really really closing up on the back of Dry Bones Malone and Toolshed, maybe even to the point of overtake. That's the beauty of these different strategies, particularly with this pit window. So where is everybody? We need everybody else to pit first, and then we can have a really good look at where everyone is on the racetrack. Here comes Igorski. He's coming into the pits. Heathen will pull off into the pits here as well. So here we go. Here's your leader. Toolshed comes round the final turn, goes past the pits. He knows that Igorski's in there. He knows that Heathen's in there, and he can go on up to turn 1 in the lead of this race. There he goes. OGR Toolshed leads here at Barcelona. 9.6 seconds clear of Dry Bones Malone. Lost out. A big lost out in the pit window. Scarlet, here he comes. He's through. He's up into the podium place. He's 3rd place. That is going to do wonders. Absolute wonders for his championship hopes. Crentes, does he get through ahead of Igorski? Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. I need a quick drink. Hang on. I think the drink's finished. There you go. Better. So Crentes does get through ahead of Igorski. So we're going to have now, we've got Toolshed running medium tyres. We've got Dry Bones Malone running medium tyres. Then we've got Scarlet on the softs. Crentes also on the softs. And Tube has got around Igorski already after Igorski comes out of the pits. Now Tube's also on the soft tyres. So this is a straight out race with the same grip as the pit window slams shut. Average Viper still with the fastest lap of the race. If it's going to get beaten, it's going to get beaten by Scarlet, Crentes, Igorski. One of those guys. Now they're on these tyres as the fuel starts to burn off. Very likely going to see them putting in a quicker lap than that. Or can they? Have they got it in them? So Toolshed in the lead, 9.8 seconds. That gap is getting bigger as Remy comes out of the pits again. But pit window firmly closed now. Dry Bones Malone there. He was in the lead of this race for so long. And then all of a sudden, all changes. And he finds himself now 9.8 seconds back. And looking for some way to close up on the back of Toolshed. Scarlet's made his way into the podium place. It's 3rd place for him. Good racing from him thus far. Crentes dropping down that order ever so slowly, and feeling for him at the moment, because he was in a really, really strong position, but now finds himself down in 4th place. Although now he's on those soft tyres, he could very well move up that order. Tubes has got past Igorski, so at the moment Igorski has two drivers between him and his championship rival, which is not going to bode well for going into race number 7 next week. 8, 9, 10, and then that's it, all over. And at the moment the gap is 5 points, and this is a big blow if he cannot catch Scarlet. Excuse me. I've got a bit of a cough and I can't shake it, and it's really annoying. So there he is, Zagorski, 1 second behind Tubes though, and putting the pressure on, and we know he's capable of some very, very quick driving, and I expect we're going to start seeing it soon. There is Heathen in 7th place, 6.3 seconds back from that current battle between Tube and Igorski. He's got average Viper 2.6 behind him. These two have been having some battles this season. They had a battle between them for 1st and 2nd at Daytona, and now we see him here again. They're currently though fighting for 7th place, and Igorski does get past Tube, makes the move, gets ahead. Now he can start trying to eat into that 12.5 seconds to Cruentes up the road, as he puts in a 46.8. That's a blistering lap. Blistering. Very, very quick lap there from Igorski. What are we looking at? Oh, Chip Reese, that's where we were. Average Viper 21 seconds ahead of Chip Reese. There he is in 9th place. He was running in the top 4 at one stage in this race, and just seems to be dropping down the order ever so slowly. Although I'm sure you can rest assured that, unfortunately, with Remy having such a bad day today, that at least he won't be last. He's 4.6 seconds ahead of Stangman, and Stangman doesn't really have to worry about what's going on behind him. Now, he kept up with Scarlet and with Igorski last week and finished a good, comfortable 3rd. This week, only down in 10th, 26 seconds ahead at the moment, though, of Wox 159. I'm really sorry I've been yawning at you. I'm not even that tired. I don't know what's making me yawn. And that's a really, really unique position to be in. 28 seconds ahead, 28 seconds behind. You can literally just keep driving and driving and driving. You don't have to worry about, there's no point pushing too hard, going off the track like that. The gap in front is 28 seconds. If it's going to come down, you'll see it coming down slowly, and then you can make the decision whether to push or not. But you make a mistake like that, and all of a sudden, look, now we've got Benjo has cut that to 21 seconds. The gap to, 19 seconds. The gap to Wox. And he's in a very unique position as well. He's about to be lapped by Scarlet. Funnily enough, his teammate. So we've got Scarlet running in 3rd for the Ice Racing Group. We've got Benjo running in 12th for the Ice Racing Group. I'm sure he'll move right over and let Scarlet through. These guys are not racing each other. And as teammates, I'm sure Benjo would want Scarlet to be able to try and close down on Dry Bones Malone. OK Jake back in 13th place, 21 seconds behind Benjo. No threat to him at this late stage, or this mid stage of the race, with Remy in 14th place and last. Toolshed is ahead of Dry Bones Malone by 9.7 seconds. Absolutely smashed it in the pit stop window. Went in, put on the fuel he needed, not too much, came out on the medium tyres, and came out good 9 seconds clear of Dry Bones Malone. Remember, Dry Bones Malone went in at the beginning of the pit window too early. For me, Toolshed needed to go in. His tyres weren't up to any more laps. But Dry Bones Malone could have hung out to the end of the pit window on the soft tyres. Those quick, grippy, soft tyres. He could have stayed out. And I think if he'd done that, that might have made a big difference here. Because Toolshed now with the upper hand. Scarlet is 5 seconds back. He is just around his teammate Benjo. Trying to close down on Dry Bones Malone there, who is running in second. So he is got to close this down. 5 seconds is the gap. 5.1 is the gap. And Correntes 8.8 seconds back in 4th place. Igorski has got back around Tubes now, but he's got a lot of work to do here as Igorski. He's made it around Tubes. He's got 11 seconds to make up on Correntes before he can even start thinking about the 9 seconds to Scarlet. So at the moment he's 20 seconds away from his championship rival, but we know it only takes one little spin and everything gets effed up. Everything changes. So this is where everybody in the top 5 needs to start focusing on just consistency. Pure and simple consistency. Yes, you want to have some pace, but you want to keep the car on the track and not make mistakes and hope that someone around you does and you can capitalise on that mistake. Tubes is trying to hang with Igorski. Not going so well though, because we know Igorski can be very, very consistent and very, very quick. 46.8 from Tube on lap 29, but back out to the 47.2s for the last lap, which was lap 31. So by my reckoning, there's about 18, 19 laps left of this race. Heathen in 7th place, ahead of Average Viper by 6.5. These two still battling each other. Very similar in terms of pace. 26 seconds Average Viper up from Stagman now. Stagman, who was 3rd in the last race at Autopolis, has moved up the order a little bit, but not been able to capitalise on that at all. So finds himself down in 9th place. Chip Reese in 10th, as you see him cutting the grass there before he comes up to the chicane. Benjo, 39. Lose my voice then. 39.4 seconds back from Chip Reese. Comfortably at the moment in 11th though, no pressure from Wox behind. And Jake is 11 seconds back from that. And I'm sure Remy doesn't want to be constantly reminded about where he sits in terms of positioning. So gap down a little bit out front. That was 9.4 seconds. Toolshed now only 8.1 seconds clear. He's very consistently mid 49s. Just coming up behind Remy to lap him again. Remy will get out of the way. Dry Bones Malone's got it to under 8 seconds. Very, very similar lap times. But this is what you want to see. That gap was huge during the pit window. It is now 1.9 seconds. Scarlet on the soft tyres, really closing in on Dry Bones Malone. This is exactly what he needs for his championship hopes. He is 9 seconds off the lead of this race. His closest championship rival, 28 seconds off. And he's still 18 seconds off the back of Scarlet. So doing a really, really solid job. Won't be long before Dry Bones Malone is going to have to start taking defensive lines around this racetrack. Just with the speed of Scarlet coming through. Correntes with a half-second penalty is a lot racer than he was in the first part of this race. Was originally running in the top 2. And just by I think it's by virtue of the tyres. Let's be fair. He was on the mediums. The other 2 were on softs. Very difficult to hold them off for that length of time. Finds himself in 4th place, 11 seconds behind Scarlet in 3rd. So still quite a bit of work to do if he wants to pick up a podium today. He's just gone around Wox to lap him. Igorski, 6.7 seconds. He's got a half-second penalty to serve. That is not what he wants when he's got Tubes crawling on the back of him, half a second almost on the back. Half a second's a penalty. It looks to me like Tubes is going to go through when this penalty gets served now. So we'll see Igorski pull over off the racing line, serve that penalty. Tubes is through. Igorski down into 6th place, can only tuck in behind as Tube goes ahead in the lead. I don't know why I call him Tubes, because there's no S on the end of it. Heathen and Viper not really battling at the moment. The gap is 4.5 seconds. Heathen running those soft tyres, 11 seconds back behind Igorski. And Tube, the fastest man on the racetrack, a 46.4 is a new fastest lap. And obviously he did that on the lap just now when he gets round Igorski. Or the last lap it was, should I say. What's his lap time this time out? A bit slower this time, 47.0. Still a good lap though. Average Viper was the fastest man on the racetrack before the pit window. Not anymore. He's not even close. He's not going to be able to put in anywhere near those times on those medium tyres. 26 seconds clear of Stagman though. 26, that's correct. Then we've got Chip Reese, Isa Benjo, Wox 159, OK Jack, and then Remy. But this is the battle we want to look at. This battle here, Scarlet on Dry Bones Malone. He's closed that gap to under half a second. You've got BMW on BMW. Is the M3 in Scarlet's hands with soft tyres on going to smoke Dry Bones Malone as he's tucked in behind? Dry Bones Malone's going to go defensive now. He does not want, as they just see Toolshed there in the distance. Loving the fact there's a battle going on in his mirror, because while there's a battle going on behind him, he can go and pull away and doesn't need to think about stopping these guys. But Scarlet is so close to the back of Dry Bones Malone at the moment, and not a lot he can do to stop him if a gap appears. So Dry Bones Malone at the moment, he cannot spend the rest of this race defending in this way. And not cost himself something in terms of fuel, tyre wear, sanity. It's not sustainable for what is going to be. You know, we've got a third of this race still to go. We're 35 laps in now, so that gives us still another 17 or 18 laps to go of this race. And if Dry Bones Malone's got to spend all of those defending, it's going to be a very, very stressful evening. Evening for him. For Scarlet, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, or somewhere close to that. I think they're an hour ahead of me, so 3:45 in the morning. So he's wide awake. Or is he? Is there a move here up the inside? Dry Bones Malone does a very good job of holding that inside line. Here we see the camera from the front of that car, very close here, almost hits him up the arse, but doesn't. That was more lag, I think, just pulled him away a little bit. Dry Bones Malone slides that back end a bit, just getting the power down too soon. Good run from Scarlet on those soft tyres. Is he close enough into the hairpin? How's Dry Bones Malone under braking? Corentis has disconnected. Devastating. Absolutely devastating for him. He was running really well as well. That promotes Tube up into 4th place and Igorski up into 5th. So that's better news for Igorski. And Dry Bones Malone goes wide. Scarlet through into the chicane. It was a matter of time before that pressure was telling. And Scarlet makes it through into the top 2. He's now got 5.3 seconds to chase down on Toolshed. So Corentis getting disconnected like that, absolutely devastating for him. Devastating. So we lose a Brit to a dodgy internet connection. What can we say about that? That's just a horrible thing to happen, especially at this stage of the race. Absolutely horrible. But that's really, really good news for Igorski, because if he can get past Tube and he can close up on Dry Bones Malone, then he might have a crack at Scarlet later on in the race, if he is very, very lucky. So Corentis currently was running 9th in the championship, but that disconnection is not going to be any juicy points for him. So looking at the current lineup, we've got Toolshed in the lead of this race. He is currently third in the championship on 57 points for the OGR Racing Group. There he is in the lead. 4.2 seconds is a gap back to the current championship leader, Scarlett of the ISO Racing Group, on 75 points. He desperately want to stay ahead of him for his challenge for the championship. Dry Bones Malone way down that order. He's doing a really good job thus far, but now on those medium tyres, just getting swallowed up by those soft tyre runners. So he finds himself currently sitting in third place. 2 seconds behind Scarlett now. Scarlett starts to pull away. Tube, there he is, the second of the ISO Racing Team racers. I suppose that's the word I'm looking for. Holding Igorski off all the time here. Igorski finding it very difficult as Benjo off the track. Also another ISO Racing Group team member is off the track, and that will benefit Wox. Wox is through. Is Jake close enough? Not quite close enough to benefit from that as he comes up to lap Remy, who now sits in 13th place. So it's even Remy, just by staying in the room, has gained some points. That's why you don't rage quit, people. I'm not suggesting, of course, that Corinthians rage quit. It's clearly an internet issue because of the way he dropped out. So Igorski now around Tube. He's made that overtake. Can he close up that 10 seconds? We are on lap 37 here at Barcelona with GT Champions, brought to you by Metropolis.com, a detailing group, Digit Gaming, Pride of the Dragon, and the IWB Racing Team, and Hyprix, of course, who without this, it wouldn't be without any of the sponsors, it wouldn't be possible. But there's your big up. That's all you get from me. No, I'm joking. So here we are, watching Igorski, the winner last time out, currently sitting on 70 points in the championship, desperately trying to close up on a podium place here to keep the championship charge alive. His biggest rival is Scarlett, currently running second place, 2.8 seconds now back from Toolshed. So the top three in the championship, third place currently running in first, Toolshed. First in the championship, second on the racetrack, Scarlett, currently first in the championship. Dry Bones Malone, he's not in that top three. He's in the top three here, but he's not in the top three for the championship. The next in line there is Igorski, currently second, just 5 points behind Scarlett, running fourth on the racetrack, but looking very racy now. Those medium tyres not giving Dry Bones Malone or Toolshed the kind of pace that they would like to have at this stage of the race. Absolutely, pace is key. Tube drops off Igorski now. He was ahead and holding him up, but Igorski just seems to have turned it up a notch. 46.7, his fastest lap. Average Viper in the pits. Big damage. He says coming into repair. So despite his pace, he's not been able to do anything with it. Now I actually thought with his pace we would see him starting to challenge the guys around the front, but it's not working out for him on those medium tyres. It just goes to show that how different things can be with different setups. But he comes in to repair the rear of that car, so that's all changed then. So no change at the front, other than the gap to Toolshed is now just 2 seconds. Scarlett 4.2 ahead of Dry Bones Malone, who's dropping into the clutches of Igorski. If I say it wrong, he'll tell me. Dropping into his clutches, 6.5 seconds that gap's down to now. The gap to Tube was open right out, 7.7 seconds. So despite having the fastest lap of the race, really bad lap for him on lap 37, and things are changing. 9 seconds back to Heathen, who looked like he might have a bit of a race on with Average Viper, but now Average Viper's gone in the pits and had to repair that is over. Stagman in 7th moves up just by virtue of others moving down more than anything else. But he's 33 seconds back from Heathen. So any additional points for him, there's going to be significant work to do in this last 20 minutes of this race. Average Viper had to go and repair. Comes back out in 8th place. 21 seconds now behind Stagman. 23 seconds ahead of Chip Reese, who's running in 9th and about to be lapped by Toolshed and Scarlet. And look how close that gap is on Scarlet, carrying a penalty there. And then we've got Wox 159, Benjo, Jake, Remy, and not me because I'm not there. So there's the gap, 1.2 seconds, half-second penalty. He's not going to get round him this lap. Oh, he won't see the penalty until the next lap. He might make the overtake before. Now, how much pace has he got over him? Now he's got a ride behind him. Can Toolshed hold him off? We saw Dry Bones Malone struggle to hold off the charge of Scarlet. Now it's time to see if Toolshed can do it. But at the moment, it looks like Scarlet is on for a not just a podium, but a win here as he closes that gap. It's down to 7 tenths. He's in the slipstream, but he's not going to get a move into turn 1 here. Not just yet. He's got to look after those tyres. He's on the softs. They will burn out quicker than the mediums on Toolshed's car. But Toolshed, remember, held it out there a little bit longer than Dry Bones Malone did to take the lead of this race in the first place. Dry Bones Malone, who led essentially all of the first stint, or at least all of the significant portion of the first stint. Sitting back in 3rd place at the moment. He's 4.6 back from this battle. There he is, 4.6 seconds back. And he's got Igorski 5 seconds down the road. Now, Dry Bones Malone is lapping in the low to mid 48s. Igorski, other than that last lap there, which was a 48.0, is in the sub 47s. And currently with the fastest lap of the race now, a 1:46.3. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to get my 45.5 in this race. There's still a few laps to go. It could happen, but I don't think I'm going to see it from this group. And that's there's no bones on them. These guys are very, very good racers. But Igorski, lots and lots of work to do still to get in that podium. The gap is 3.4 seconds. Tube, 10 seconds back now. He's just lapping. Who's that in 10th place? I can do that. Wox, who's currently running in 10th place. Really good battle with Igorski for some time, actually. But now dropping off that pace. And I think 5th is going to be his there or thereabouts. He's on the soft tyres. He has got Heathen behind him. It may be that come the end of the race, if Heathen just manages to look after his tyres a little bit better, might be able to close that gap up and make a challenge later on in this race. Stagman 31 seconds back, but 26 ahead of Average Viper. Not a lot to be said about that. Not much for him to do. Average Viper looked really quick in the first stint. Not recreated this time out. Chip Reese, 26 seconds back. 14 ahead of Wox. Is about to be lapped. Needs to get out of the way of Dry Bones Malone. Because Dry Bones Malone is trying to escape the clutches of Igorski, which is coming. Wox 159, 13 seconds clear of Benjo in the, I think that's the last of the Ice and Racing cars at the back of the pack there. He's 25 ahead of OK Jake and Remy, currently running on lap 34 compared to the leaders on lap 41. I'm sure he doesn't want to know about that, does he? Of course not. So there's the gap for the lead now. It was at one stage Toolshed came out of the pits. He was 9 seconds clear. Now he is under half a second ahead of Scarlet. Scarlet on the soft tyres, on the charge. And we are less than 15 minutes from the end of this 90-minute race. So we are looking at, what did I say? I said 48, 49 laps. So we're essentially looking at about 5 or 6 laps more. Maybe a bit more than that. We'll have a look. Where are we? 47. Maybe 6 or 7 laps. Difficult to predict because the lap time's constantly evolving. But Scarlet really putting in a shift here to find a way around. Can Toolshed hold Scarlet off for essentially 15 minutes? That's what he needs to do. 7 laps, 15 minutes is what he's got to hold him off for. He's done a good job so far. He knows the car behind him on soft tyres. Anyone that plays this game knows to look at what your opponents are putting on. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that. You will know you're on the medium tyres. You know they're not going to run out on you. They might not be giving you the pace you want, but they're not going to crap out on you. So he knows that Sky's on the softs. So what the scenario Toolshed really needs is to be able to hold him off long enough for those tyres to start getting away from Scarlet. And if he can do that and let the tyres get away from Scarlet, Toolshed could still win this race. But it's going to take every ounce of defence knowledge to keep him at bay. The gap has opened up a little bit. Not quite caught him yet. Dry Bones Malone dropping into the clutches of Igorski. Igorski wants a podium and he wants it now. He has closed that gap to 0.6 of a second to the guy who led the race for so long in the first stint, and then cost himself time. For me, he cost himself time by just pitting too early. He didn't need to pit when he did. He had loads of tyres left. He had loads of fuel left. He could have held that out for another 3 or 4 laps and just put himself in a better position to monitor the fuel as well, because he definitely overfueled in that pit stop. And you can see him, if you look there, although to be fair, he has pushed quite hard this stint, to be fair, so maybe he didn't overfuel. So Scarlet has made his way around Toolshed while we were watching Igorski try to battle his way forward. Scarlet gets into the lead of this race. Now, what sort of gap can he build up? Because he's going to have Igorski behind him on a charge. Scarlet at the moment is 0.8 clear and will be putting away from Toolshed. Toolshed 7.9 seconds up from Dry Bones Malone, who is just being passed there by Igorski. Igorski makes that move. Dry Bones Malone comes back at him, retakes the position as they go into this final sector. Has Igorski got anything extra to give? Has he got something a little more? He just touches the gravel there, but does keep the car on the road. So Dry Bones Malone do everything he can to try and hold him off. Really good exit here from Igorski. He's right in behind, tucked under that wing of Dry Bones Malone. He shakes around in front of him, and he's shaking because he knows he's vulnerable. It's like a tiger seeking out his prey, and there goes Igorski alongside him. He says, you know what, thank you very much, I will have that podium place in my pocket, thank you very much. But Dry Bones Malone says, absolutely not, my friend. If you want it, you're going to have to rip it from my cold, dead hands. And he's back up into 3rd place. Nothing Igorski can do about that at the moment. Dry Bones Malone is absolutely giving everything, every single page of the defensive handbook. But went wide. He went really wide there. Really wide. And off Igorski goes up the road. Now, we have 10 minutes left of this race, which is essentially enough for about 5 laps of racing. 5, maybe 6 laps of racing. So we might actually make it 2 lap 50. What sort of pace has Igorski got? That last lap he was held up by Dry Bones Malone trying to get round him, as with the lap before. But we know he's capable of a 46.3. He's got 7 seconds to make up on Toolshed. Scarlett's already pulled 2 seconds clear of the pack. Now remember, these two were in the top 3 last week as well, and have worked their way from the very, very back of the grid to get themselves into this top 3. Can Toolshed hold off for second? He's on the medium tyres. He's not got to worry about whether those tyres will last. What he's got to worry about is there enough grip in them for Igorski not to catch him? He's got more fuel. He's got good tyres. He's got good pace. So that last lap was a 1:47.4. Toolshed's was a 1:49.2. The gap is 7 seconds. So he's going to need 4 laps essentially to catch. But then it's one thing to catch. It's a whole other thing to pass. Toolshed held off Scarlett very well for a couple of laps. If he does the same to Igorski, Igorski might struggle to close the gap to Scarlett. But the race is on. Quick rundown from the rear of the pack. There is Remy on lap 37, having an awful day at the office. I'm sure he's going to go lay down in a dark room after with a flannel on his head, because that's what I'd do. Benjo in 12th place, 19 seconds behind. OK Jake, the United States. He is 48 seconds behind Wox, 1:59. 2.5 seconds to Chip Reese. Is there a battle to be had there? Looking at the fuel and tyres, I think he's got to be concerned with keeping the car on a racetrack. Chip Reese, however, is on medium tyres, so potentially there could be a battle ahead there. Average Viper, very, very quick before the pit stop window. Not so much now in no man's land though. Stangman also in a very similar no man's land in 7th place. Tube, who for so long held Igorski behind him. 34 seconds up the road from Stangman, 2.1 seconds behind Heathen. He's on the soft tyres, as is Heathen. Similar laps. In fact, Heathen's looking a little bit quicker. 1.8 seconds is the gap. At the moment, 1.5 seconds. 4 seconds up the road from Heathen is Dry Bones Malone. He lost out first place after the pit window to Toolshed. He's lost out second place to Scarlett. Scarlett then goes on to take the lead of this race, and then he loses out his podium to Igorski, who's now 11 seconds up the road in 3rd. So the gap to Toolshed was lap 46. The gap is 2.5 seconds. His last lap was a 1:47.2. Toolshed was a 1:50.1. And he's very, very... Toolshed might not make it to the end of this race on fuel, you know. This is looking very ropey. So Dry Bones Malone could actually come back into this race. So Toolshed, in his eagerness to get to... This is what happened. Toolshed went in the pit window and put fuel on, but he didn't. He put what he thought might be enough. It wasn't. So that is why the gap is so much bigger, and this is why you always put in more fuel than you need. There's nothing worse than seeing someone crossing a line with one because they want to finish with 1 litre of fuel left. Look, it's great if you can make your car that light, but you don't know what's going to happen in the tail end of this race. And Toolshed's had to spend so much time fighting. He needed more fuel. I think Toolshed is not going to make to the end of this race because Igorski, here he goes up into 2nd place. He is chasing down Scarlett now. 5.7 seconds is the gap. He wants those points. 5 points was the gap going into today. The extra point for the fastest lap. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So we can see that Igorski, 1:47.2 was his last lap. 1:47.2 the lap before that. 1:47.4 the lap before that. Scarlett is in the 48s and 49s. Now, is that because He is holding back a little bit because he can do 47s. He did 47.3. Is he holding back a little bit just to manage his tyres and fuel at this stage? So he's got something left at the end. He's currently 5.2 seconds up. At the current rate they are lapping, Igorski is going to catch him. And he's going to catch him in about 3 laps. It's all about how well now they can manage the fuel and tyres. Now, Sky's tyres are in a bit of a worse condition than Igorski. Igorski's done a very, very good job at looking after those. But gap is 4.4 seconds. All still to play for. Toolshed, he's going to run out of fuel. Absolutely going to run out. So what does he do? Does he go in and take the penalty? And there is a penalty for pitting outside the window. Does he go and take that penalty and try and get a decent finishing position? Or does he run out of fuel and basically only finish ahead of people he hasn't lapped? Because that could end up putting him easily. I mean, if we're looking where everybody is, right? So Scarlett just starts lap 48. Igorski also lap 48. The gap 3.5 seconds. 7.8 seconds back to Toolshed, who starts lap 48. Now he's got Heathen, Isa, Dry Bones Malone, who's dropping down that order like a stone at the moment. He might not make it to the end of this race either, by the looks of things. This is a bit of a worry. But without question, this guy's going to run out of petrol. Absolutely going to run out of petrol. Just pushed it too hard. So he's going to be Heathen. Unbelievably, Heathen, who was fighting with Average Viper earlier in the race, has just kind of sat in there and finds himself suddenly staring down a potential podium place, which would be absolutely awesome for him, bearing in mind that he has been way down the order and not really in this race, to be fair. And loads and loads of points for him. He's currently 7th in the championship, ahead of it should have been up Holset to Devlin, who didn't race today. So that will bump him up a little bit. Tube, another ice racing group rider, again struggling for fuel. Do we make lap 50? Actually, we might only be at lap 49. So if that's the case, only this guy's going to run out of fuel. Everyone else should be all right. So there we go. There's the gap. 3.4 seconds now. 3.1 seconds. Igorski is closing. We coming to the end of lap 48. So it will be 49, not 50 laps here. This is the final lap of the race. And everything is hotting up. Absolutely hotting up for these guys. The gap 2.8 seconds. Can Igorski make up 2.8 seconds on this lap? Does he have anything left in that car? I think Scarlett's going to hold him off now, but Toolshed is in trouble. That gap from Heathen is melting the car. I think Toolshed might just survive just by virtue of it being 49 and not 50 laps. This was 50 laps. Toolshed screwed, but I think he might be all right. Looking at that red dot, he might run out, but I don't know if Heathen's close enough to capitalise. Certainly not at this stage of the racetrack. So Scarlett is going to bring this home. He comes down to complete that sector into the final sector. There is Igorski behind. It's 2.5 seconds. So Stangman finishes in 7th place. Everyone else going to finish on this lap. Here comes Scarlett. 2.4 seconds is the gap. Igorski doing a fabulous job of closing up. Yellow flag up ahead, no overtaking. If he catches him, there's nothing he can do at that stage as they come into the final chicane for the last time here at Barcelona. Scarlett in the lead from the ice racing group will extend his lead at the top of the championship. He rounds the final corner. There he heads up towards the start-finish line. Igorski with a penalty, wouldn't have caught him anyway, finishes second. That was a close run thing. Toolshed does just hold on to round out the top 3. Here he goes across the line, and I tell you what, that was squeaky bum time for him. on fuel. That is going to be 0-0-0 in that fuel tank. He then comes home in 4th place. Tube with a good finish in 5th, and Dry Bones Malone, despite leading more laps than anyone else here, finishes in 6th place. Stagman was 7th, Average Viper in 8th, Chip Reese in 9th, Wox 159 will be 10th, Jake in 11th, Benjo in 12th, and Remy finishes in 13th place. So there we go, all done and dusted. That is, we were treated to some very, very good racing there. I've got to say, I was well impressed with that. What we need to do now is we need to have a chat with all of the runners and riders, don't we? So we had Scarlett won that race, and Scarlett from Igorski. Similar to last week, just the other way around. Igorski won the race from Scarlett. Revenge for Scarlett this time out. Managed to restore a bit of a gap. Fastest lap does go to Igorski though, and there is a point for that. But 3rd place this week isn't Stagman, it's Toolshed. So the top 3 in the championship are the top 3 in that order here today. Interesting going into week 7. So everything to play for still for all of them. So we're going to try and get the winners in a little chatty chat room. Shall we do that? I think that's a good idea. So I'll be back shortly while I try and rustle up some drivers to talk to. Just waiting for the top 3 to come and join me in chat and have a little talk about how their race went. It shouldn't be too long. How you doing, guys?
Doing good.
How was that for you?
Yeah.
How did you feel the race went?
Could have been better.
Oh well, it can always be better.
Yeah.
Obviously, we lost Correntes again to connection issues. I mean, it's done you a favour, but it's a bit of a pain, isn't it?
Yeah, and I may get with Average Viper because he's got really, really good internet too, and he's across the pond. So maybe if I get with him and he hosts, maybe we won't lose Corantis.
So, do you think Scarlet was catchable today?
Oh, he was definitely catchable.
Because I mean, it was closing fast at one stage. I was looking and thinking, I was just trying to work out, will we get to 50 laps? I think if there was 50 laps, I think you would have got him.
Yeah, it was my battle with Dry Bones was what killed me.
Yeah, to be fair though, I mean, your pace after the pit was ridiculous. It's almost like you've got a different car.
Yeah, I had to do a lot better on softs on that track than that. Those mediums were like ice skates.
And they were really hard. It did seem really hard to drive on those mediums. No one on the medium seemed to put in any real solid lap times. It was hard to keep consistency, really, wasn't it?
Now it was about a 1.5 seconds difference too, and I think it's just because of those long sweepers. I mean, it just kills your time because you're just not getting any grip until almost the end of the sweep. Where on the softs, I mean, I was mid corner and I was already on the gas taking off.
Yeah, I find with the M3, I mean, I didn't get a chance to do it, because normally what I normally do a few laps in the car myself during the week and do a sort of lap guide video and stuff like that, but I haven't had the chance this week. So before I came on this evening, I jumped in and did a couple of laps, and I find it's very tail happy. The back of this car loves to step out if you don't treat it kindly through the corners.
Yeah, very much so. And then it's a little understeering on corner entry, so it's like you're going to war with the car.
Yeah, constant battles. So big blow for you in the Hopes Championship. You closed the gap to 5 points, but obviously he's now going to pull away. You did get fastest lap, by the way, which I suppose will help.
Yeah.
But
which might tie, so we might be still at 8.
Yeah, but there's still 4 races left. Still.
Yeah.
Where do you think you're going to be strong with the races that are left? Are there any in particular you're eyeing up as your go-to track?
Well, the GT4s he seems to struggle a little bit more with, so I think as long as I can beat him on the GT4 tracks.
So what we got next?
It'll be very close.
Having a look what we got next. So we're Trial Mountain in the McGann. Oh, I love that McGann trophy. Yeah. That's going to be a really, really good race, that one. And then High Speed Ring in the G70.
Yeah.
So that's that.
I'm not sure how good that one's going to go, but
I can imagine that's going to be really, really tire intensive, that one.
Yeah, and without the next 2 are mid-engine cars, so I haven't seen him driving mid-engine cars, but
to be fair, I used to race with Sky in another group, and we did a McGann. This wasn't. To be fair, it wasn't GTS. We did a McGann Trophy same car competition, and he was pretty midfield in that. To be fair, no, not to dig him out, but he was in that particular competition. He was pretty midfield. He wasn't super quick. Maybe that bodes well for you. Maybe he's got quicker. I haven't raced with him for a while. He certainly seems to have got a bit quicker. But no, that was I thought it was a really, really good race, that. And to be fair, at one stage it was impossible to pick. I mean, you could see that you were quick. You could see that Scarlet was quick. Certainly before the pit stops, Average Viper was rapid, super rapid. But then as the sort of pit stops happened, I'll tell you what I think cost Bones Malone a top 3. He had so much tyre left when the pit window opened on the soft tyres. He could have hung out to the end of the pit window before he went in, but he chose to go in really, really early, and that just gave Toolshed a massive advantage over him, going in a little bit later. And I think that cost him a top 3. I think he could have, and probably would have been a lot closer to Toolshed had he hung it out there. But it's all well and good saying it after the event, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just all stuff you got to learn from.
Yeah. Well, it's been good to talk to you again. It looks like we'll be doing this on a regular basis if you continue with the pace that you've got, and so we'll be having a regular chat at 3:30 in the morning here in London. So listen, enjoy the rest of your weekend, buddy. It was a good race, and I'm sure we'll catch up next week.
All right, you too.
All right, well done, man.
Right, thank you.
So there we have it. Nobody else joined us for a chat today. At least I don't think they did. Unless I missed something. No, nobody else joined us for a chat. So, there we have it. Scarlett, Igorski, Toolshed, they were your top three. Good points from Scarlett. That'll give him a little bit of a boost, opening up that gap to Igorski. But you've heard from the man himself. Igorski is not planning on giving this up anytime soon, and really fancies himself in the GR4s. So, what else can I say other than thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you joined us this evening, but certainly enjoy yourself watching it probably tomorrow when everyone wakes up. I've been Urban Pirate. This has been the GT Champions World Cup Season 4, Round 6 in the BMW M3 at Barcelona, Catalonia. If you want to catch up with me again, you can see me tomorrow on Black Flag Racing TV while I'll be doing the Lithuanian National Championship. Otherwise, I will see you here next week, folks. It's been emotional.